Congressman Greg Abbott, who is in a wheelchair, and Newsom says he rolled over for Trump. That's almost as bad as Jasmine Crockett calling him Governor Hot Wheels. You know, we asked for a statement, and Newsom's office said something flippant like, you know, oh, you're so woke. He'll get over it. Abbott will get over it.
Based! I'm crying. I am crying right now.
And right outside, at this exact moment, are dozens and dozens of ICE agents. Donald Trump, you think it's coincidental? Donald Trump and his minions, Tom Homan, tough guy, totally decided, coincidentally or not, that this was a location to advance ICE arrests. Indiscriminate? Perhaps. We'll find out later. It was certainly indiscriminate when a 15-year-old disabled boy had a gun put to his head in Los Angeles trying to go to school just a few days ago. I met with it. I don't need to belabor this, except I want to level set. People are scared. People are fearful. You had a United States senator that was thrown down to the ground in a federal building, Alex Padilla. J.D. Vance's name is Alex Padilla, not Jose Padilla. That's the Vice President of the United States.
Did he call him that? Did he call him Jose Padilla?
It's another museum not so far away from us. Talks about those 53 days. Some of you know what I'm referring to. Wake up, America. This is a serious moment. Wake up to what's going on. Wake up to the fear and anxiety. Wake up to what's happening, not just here in Los Angeles, where we saw our streets militarized, we saw our due process rights thrown out the window. You heard the word disappeared. I was with a 12-year-old boy, born in Oxnard, California.
Bro, I just had a PTSD response.
Militarized. To what's happening, not just here in Los Angeles, where we saw our streets militarized.
When he had that stutter there, I just had a Biden PTSD moment. I was like, oh God, did anybody else feel that? Did anybody else have that pass their body? Oh no.
That's Trump's America. These are sober times. And so I'm deeply grateful to all of you for standing up and for being here today. I'm grateful for all the elected officials that are here, members of Congress, not just our 2 U.S. senators, to members of the California legislature for having the courage of their convictions, for standing tall and standing firm, to recognize today is Liberation Day in the state of California. And as Senator Schiff said, Donald Trump, you have poked the bear, and we will punch back. Here's the good thing about California, folks. We're the size of 21 state populations combined. We're the 4th largest economy in the world. We're not a small, isolated state. I know they say don't mess with Texas. Well, don't mess with the great Golden State. And so we're here with our state of mind, with the clarity of our purpose and conviction, to recognize that we need to reconcile the world we're living in. We do have agency. We're not bystanders in this world. We can shape the future, and that's what we intend to do today. We're here because Donald Trump, on January 6th, tried to light democracy on fire, tried to wreck this country.
J6 lover,
tried to steal an election, as Alex just said, by trying to dial in for 11, almost 12,000 votes. And here we are, an open and plain sight before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system. He doesn't play by a different set of rules. He doesn't believe in the rules. And as a consequence, we need to disabuse ourselves of the way things have been done. It's not good enough to just hold hands, have a candlelight vigil, and talk about the way the world should be. We have got to recognize the cards that have been dealt. And we have got to meet fire with fire. And we've got to be held to a higher level of accountability. So that's what this is about. It's not complicated. We're doing this in reaction to a president of the United States that called a sitting governor of the state of Texas and said, find me 5 seats. We're doing it in reaction to that act. We're doing it mindful of our higher angels and better angels. We're doing it mindful that we want to model better behavior, as we've been doing for 15 years in the state of California with our independent redistricting commission. But we cannot unilaterally disarm. We can't stand back and watch this democracy
We cannot unilaterally disarm. Yes. This is what I'm tweeting out to Jessica and all them too, right? Listen, if you wanted to stop, you have to stop on your end. It can't just be one side over and over and over again. It has to be both sides. It cannot just be one side.
Disappear.
Yes.
We can't stand back and watch this democracy disappear district by district all across this country, not just in Texas, but in Missouri, where J.D. Vance went just a week ago, in Indiana, in places like Ohio, in places like Florida. We need to stand up, not just California. Other blue states need to stand up. We need to be firm in our resolve. We need to put back. So we're here in that light. And I'm grateful to have remarkable partners in the legislature. It's a tall task. We're asking them for 2/3. The legislative consent. This is the difference. This is the difference between what's happening in Texas and what's happening here in California.
2/3. Do they have, what is the composition of the state legislature? Is this expected to be like along party lines, or will the state legislature, will some Republicans go with this?
Receive a phone call from the President of the United States to then quietly go in the back room and start drawing maps and legislatively try to jam them through against the consent of the people.
They have a supermajority. They have 2/3. Okay. One thing I saw, Dan actually brought this up. I don't know where you heard this from, but Dan brought this up last night on Anything Else, and I think it's actually true that there's two different questions you can ask. When you say if all the states were to try to like just gerrymander maximally, who would come out on top? And there's like two answers. You have the first answer is like the Democrats would, just because of all the states and because of what they could redistrict. Like if you were to just go by raw numbers. But I think the actual answer. There was an article, this got linked to me yesterday. I don't think I read it on stream, but the more realistic answer is the Democratic states, I think, tend to have stricter measures when it comes to the gerrymandering. So it's easier for Republicans to rig their state districts than it is for the Democrat states to rig their state districts. So even if by pure numbers, Democrats could theoretically gerrymander harder, pragmatically, it would be more difficult for them to gerrymander harder. Like even in California, you see Newsom here is having to ask the legislature he needs a supermajority to even begin to do this. I don't know, did they need a supermajority in Texas, or was it a simple majority, or?
We're doing precisely the opposite. We're working through a very transparent, temporary, and public process. We're putting the maps on the ballot, and we're giving the power to the people. This will be the first redistricting that's ever done that. That's the difference. We tried to raise the standards, and these guys are not playing by any set of rules. So this time requires us to act anew, not just think anew. And so I'm grateful to all of the remarkable leaders that have stepped up, this unifying effort here in the state of California. And we'll be asking for the people on November 4th, a special election, coinciding with a lot of local municipal elections, to provide a temporary pathway for congressional maps. We will affirm our commitment to the state independent redistricting after the 2030 census, but we're asking the voters for their consent to do midterm redistricting in 2026, 2028, and 2030 for the congressional maps to respond to what's happening in Texas, to respond what Trump is trying to excite. And we'll do so in a way that also affirms our desire as a state to level the playing field all across the United States. We believe in a national independent redistricting framework. And we believe that's the right goal and the right thing to pursue. And I will just state for the fact, Zoe Lofgren, who runs our California delegation.
National independent district. He's saying that like there should be like a board that gives guidance or instruction to all states about the national congressional districts, right? That's what he's saying, basically.
She authored the bill.
Yeah.
Democrats unanimously supported that National Independent Redistricting Commission. Republicans were nowhere to be found. They want to rig these elections, and they want the power.
We have to get more of this. Does this lady look like the one lady in The Office that was like the Kim competitor? You remember when Jim went to the new office and she was the one? I think she's married to the guy in real life. A little bit, does she? There needs to be more focus on this. Republicans and Democrats are not the same. Republicans and Democrats are not the same. Please, God. Thank you, Gavin, for focusing on that. Thank you, God. Yes.
That gerrymandering provides, because they know what Donald Trump knows. He's going to lose the midterms. He knows de facto his presidency ends in 17 months when Speaker Jeffries is back in office. He knows it. Why else would you try to rig the system? Why else would you make the phone call? He's a failed president. Who else sends ICE same time having a conversation like this? Someone who's weak. Someone who's broken. Someone whose weakness is masquerading as strength. The most unpopular president in modern history. An economy that's collapsing all around him. You saw the new wholesale prices going up almost a full percentage point today. Inflation is going up. Job creation is going down. He's trying to rewrite history. Smithsonian, censoring historical facts.
I can't believe it's so hard. I can't believe that that guy debated, and this is most Republicans that I debate, and I've said this before, I've laughed about this when Trump and everybody else talks about this. When people talk about inflation going up under Biden, nobody ever mentions the Russia-Ukraine war, and nobody ever mentions COVID. They just act like it came from nowhere. It's crazy. And then they want to play this game where they compare Trump economic numbers to Biden economic numbers. It's like, even if we do that, Trump's not even winning on every front. But it's the fact that, like, Trump is coming into no problems, really, worldwide. Like, yeah, there's a war that's been ongoing in Ukraine, Russia, but it hasn't gotten any worse, right? And it's like Israel, Gaza's not affecting shit. Trump is coming in and fucking up things literally all on his own. He's coming into office and pressing the inflation button for no reason. Like, he's just fucking it up for absolutely no reason.
And in the spirit of what Adam Schiff said, he's trying to put America in reverse on voting rights, civil rights, LGBTQ rights, on women's rights. He wants to bring us back to a pre-1960s world. That's what this is all about. It's about power. And I want to end on this. And we are about to give power back to the people. You have, on November 4th in California, you have the power to stand up to Trump. You have the power to declare that you support a system that is not rigged. You have the power on November 4th to stand up for people that are being bullied. You have the power to stand up for people that are being intimidated. You have the power to stand up to the rule of law. We're giving the people of this state the power to save democracy, not just in California, but all across the United States of America. I hope we are waking up to this reality. Wake up, America. Wake up to what Donald Trump is doing. Wake up to his assaults. Wake up to the assault on institutions and knowledge and history. Wake up to his war on science, public health, and his war against the American people. This is a guy who lays claim to want to get a Nobel Prize, sitting there and bending his knee to Mr. Putin. You have the power to straighten this out. And so I want to, again, just thank everybody for exercising not just their formal authority, yes, that's what we're doing, but also sharing their moral authority at this moment. I want to thank everybody for being here today, for being here tomorrow, and most importantly, we're counting
Rob, thanks for the 20 gift to tier 1 subs.
on all of you on November 4th to be there for each other, to win this election and stand up for our democracy. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you.
I'm joined now by Governor Gavin Newsom. We are in downtown LA at the Democracy Center. Thanks for joining me.
By the way, this is
Jesus. All right. We got 3 different cameras right off the bat.
it's interesting. Little Tokyo. This is the site, quite literally,
BTC out of focus? What's going on here?
right outside where the Japanese were picked up, arrested.
4 cameras. Oh no, I bet it's 3. I bet it's a shot reverse and then they've got like one handheld.
Interned and bust in the 1940s. So it's a poignant place for us to be at this moment.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because ICE decided to show up today during your announcement, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So first and foremost, can I have your reaction to the fact that Trump decided to deploy his troops here, not an accident, to come here while you were having your press conference?
Yeah, and he sent his region.
Would you be generally happy with BTC becoming the Joe Rogan of the... I don't know if we need like Joe Rogan is a very special character. I don't really need necessarily like a Joe Rogan of the left, or I feel like it misses the point to look for like a particular figure. Like somebody like Joe Rogan worked because he was a normal, ordinary media figure, pop media figure that, well, no, not media, pop culture figure who kind of became like entrenched in conservative media somehow. That being said, I don't think I've ever seen Brian put out anything I don't like. I feel like I like almost everything he does. Factually, he seems to be about as honest as anybody could be, and then ideologically we align. He's a good Democrat, yeah.
Regional Border Patrol director here, as well as the spokesperson, he made our point. I don't think we had to say a word.
Right.
He made the point we're making. Not only is he rigging the election, he's trying to ruin and wreck democracy. He's no longer even feigning that he has dictatorial tendencies or authoritarian tendencies. He's acting out on them. It was an act of intimidation. It was an act, however, of weakness. Why else would you send them out? How pathetic, how small. And it's a sign of things to come. And I assure you, what
I think if it might be, I wonder if Brian brought his own people. This is auto white balance, I think, or not balance, auto white balance, maybe. Do you think? It's very, very different from shot to shot. Sorry, I'll stop being autistic.
how pathetic, how small.
They're all just different cameras. So what? Your mom gets by different dicks. It doesn't mean her vagina changes every time. I don't know. No, it's a different white balance from shot to shot. That's why the colors are different, I think.
It's a sign of things to come. And I assure you, what you saw today, what happened here today, is going to happen tomorrow in a town near you. My biggest fear, and I said this months ago to you, is that we're going to see the National Guard federalized in other parts of the country. You're starting to see that under different circumstances subtly in D.C. But you're going to see ICE and Border Patrol sent out to polling places and voting booths during the election. This was an act of intimidation, and that's exactly why this initiative is so important.
You know, these Trump supporters are going to claim that this was done in the interest of combating crime. But of course, we know that if you're looking at combating crime, there are other states across the country that have higher crime rates. But of course, we know that if you're looking at combating crime, there are other.
Are there two handhelds? I'm sorry, I'm just so interested in the choices made for filming this.
States across the interest of combating crime.
No. This is
but of course,
stationary, but it's out of focus. Okay, and then this is the same handheld. I think it's just switching back and forth between the two, right?
We know that if you're looking at combating crime, there are other states across the country that have higher crime rates, higher per capita crime rates than Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., and yet these were the cities that he opted to deploy these people to.
Yeah, well, I think
I would also be careful with this idea of, like, not to say, I think it's a bit of an error to say, well, if you wanted to combat crime, these aren't good cities to choose. You don't deploy the National Guard to combat crime. You deploy the National Guard to combat, like, emergency scenarios where things are so out of control, the state no longer has the resources, and it's done at the request of the governor, right, for times of exceptional emergency. The military is not here to enforce criminal law. That's not the job of the military. You don't want to turn your military into your law enforcement body. The military exists to fight enemies of the United States. And when the military is doing policing actions, the people have become the enemy of the country. That's just, you don't ever want that dynamic. It's so bad.
I think you should start with Shreveport, Louisiana, in Speaker Johnson's district that has 6+ times the per capita murder rate of Nancy Pelosi's San Francisco. What about the carnage, Mr. President, in Shreveport? Why aren't you protecting the folks there? 8 of the top 10 murder states in this country, red states. What bullshit. And everyone knows it. Everybody knows it. Again, it's acts of authoritarianism. It's acts of power on a person that is trying to use his formal authority, and it's depleting. And it's weak. It's increasingly weak, and it's increasingly desperate. And that's why it's important for us at this moment to meet him head on, not just rhetorically, but through substantive counteractions. And that's what we're doing in California with this ballot initiative.
Now, you had brought up a point that I've focused on quite a bit, which is the idea that he is laying the predicate now, basically normalizing us to this idea that he's going to be able to deploy the troops. Can you talk about what that may look like as we head closer to 2026? And look, we've seen him try and seize voting machines in Georgia. He tried to do it in 2020. But now,
I'm afraid Donald J. Trump and his admin are trying to normalize deploying troops in preparation for an actual coup for the upcoming elections. Maybe. However, that's a strategic error because apparently the president doesn't have to normalize anything because everything is already normal. There is no response. The American public is anemic when it comes. Where are all of the don't tread on me people? The Second Amendment, like none of this stuff ever mattered. It was all a virtue signal. None of these people gave a about federalism or states' rights. It was all bullshit. All of it was bullshit.
He knows he kind of is able to normalize Americans to this idea of deploying troops into Los Angeles, into D.C. What could that mean if you're looking at a city like Philadelphia, a city like Detroit, a city like Milwaukee, a city like Atlanta, which are, of course, these Democratic strongholds within these swing states that are going to determine the election?
Well, I'll tell you what it looks like. It looks like a gun to the head of a 15-year-old disabled boy born in the United States of America that doesn't look like you and me trying to go to school. That's what just happened here in Los Angeles. I'll tell you what it manifests. That kid doesn't, many other people saw that. They may not send their kids to school. It means people are not showing up in their classroom. People are not showing up to get their flu shot at the emergency room, or people that are sick not even accessing emergency care. It means people that may be witnesses of crime not even be willing to go forward to help keep our community safe. It's a chilling effect. People not going out to go grocery shopping or doing so only late at night. People getting into other people's cars that look like you and me to drive them to go shopping so they're not racially profiled if they're driving by the Home Depot or a car wash. And it will happen in more insidious ways if it happens during the election. And that's exactly what this is about. It's about clearing the streets. It's about creating panic. People are not going to sit there in a line where they can't even get water in some states, and they're not going to sit there waiting 2 or 3 hours if ICE or Border Patrol shows up. It's precisely, again, why people need to wake up and disabuse themselves that democracy is going to survive if we do not push back. It won't. It's the rule of dawn, no longer the rule of law. And people need to understand the lines that are being redrawn in Texas are not about party, they're about power. And you've got to meet fire with fire, and power needs to be asserted in blue states, not just red states. Our state of mind has to be more firm, more resolved, and more aggressive.
Some dude emailed me like 7 different talking points. I don't know who the f this guy is. He's emailed me stuff before. I thought all of them were good. Oh, this guy emailed me a long time ago about hydrocarbons. He's a plastics engineer. Hey, Stephen, just replying to my past conversation to show that I have a modicum of credibility. Oh, it was in the same On a recent stream, you expressed a desire to counter an enlightened, centrist, populist, rhetorical narrative that is similar to the MAGA populist narrative of, well, the Dems did it already, so now we can do it. That narrative being, quote, the Dems can't do X because Y, end quote, with Y being any of the following, among other, relativistic topics. Y1 equals slippery slope, Y2 equals tyranny, Y3 equals both sides, Y4 equals billionaire handlers. Specifically, you expressed a gripe with the general idea of the Dems can't redistrict Colorado because we worked so hard to eliminate gerrymandering. Remember, Democrats won't be the only ones in power, ... In my opinion, this is an example of Y1, the slippery slope. The slope is implicit in the response, leaving it to the reader's imagination where exactly Y will lead. Depending on the reader, it could lead to Y2, tyranny, or Y4, billionaire handlers, or Y67. It's an appeal to emotion where the implicit nature appeals to the state of mind of the user reading the statement. This makes appeals to emotion particularly powerful in our current political climate where the GOP focuses on keeping people on edge and reactive. For counters to this concept, I applied a general shotgun method and found a variety of effective responses with the intent being to keep them punchy and not convince the individual making the comment, but the independents reading it. He says, initial comment. We fought for too long to get Colorado to a point where it is illegal to gerrymander, and there is a whole system set up to keep politicians out of the redistricting process. I cannot believe people seem to think this is helpful. And then he's got 8 different replies, basically. One is counter-narrative. Protecting our independent redistricting system isn't cheating. It's making sure elections stay fair, even if others try to play dirty elsewhere. 2 is MAD theory, mutually assured destruction theory. Colorado voters worked hard to take redistricting out of politicians' hands. Preemptive measures just protect the system we all agreed on. No party gets to undermine it for short-term gain. 3 is the fairness appeal. And if it were a Democrat trying to cheat, I'd hope the Republicans would do the same thing. 4 is moral duty. Right, and if we don't act now to protect independent maps, the first party that tries to cheat could decide our elections for us. 5 is Godwin's law. Just like the Allies didn't wait for Hitler to invade every country before acting, Colorado isn't waiting for someone else to rig elections before defending them. 6 is why wait. Good defense beats hindsight. Colorado isn't waiting for someone else to rig the game before guarding the voters. 7 is collectivism. Colorado's not waiting to get blindsided. We built fair maps to protect voters, and we'll defend them before anyone tries to cheat. And then 8 is appeal to founders. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, from Benjamin Franklin. Just some general ideas to jog your thoughts. The flourish is strong because of its appeal to the reader, which is why it seems difficult to combat at first. You can do the same thing. I'm partial to Democrats appealing to the founders, as I think it's an easy narrative win to be the party of the founders of the nation. I've added some more quotes, also reflecting Enlightenment thinkers. Eternal vigilance is the price of liberty, from Thomas Jefferson. The accumulation of all powers in the same hands may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny, James Madison. These are just a bunch of quotes from Founding Father people. The main actionable takeaway being appeal to the emotion of the reader. What will happen if we do nothing? We are protecting voters, not parties, and these are preventative measures. I know this is a specific example, but I hope it helps develop a larger, more holistic strategy for you. I can see why each of these appeals works, like it makes sense to me, but I could never think of these on my own. My brain just totally does not function this way at all.
Let's use that to jump into what you spoke about today. Can you give a brief overview of your announcement at the press conference?
Well, we're moving forward with a special election on November 4th, coinciding with other local municipal elections to neutralize anything that Greg Abbott and Republicans are doing in Texas. They do 5 seats, we do 5 seats. And we're not only doing that, we're also announcing, as a consequence of this effort, a commitment to national independent redistricting. Well, that's on the ballot as well. We believe it's the right thing to do. In fact, the Democratic Party believes it's the right thing to do. Democrats have voted for national independent redistricting. Yeah. Republicans have not. So spare me the crocodile tears on Fox and everyone else saying, oh.
Did you happen to see/care about that article about defending the amyloid hypothesis? No, I've shut my brain off a little bit on medical-related stuff. If I dive too deeply into that, I think I will just become a very evil, hateful person. I genuinely believe that every person that voted conservative should have all of their new diabetic stuff, Ozempic, all of that should be ripped away from these people. I don't think they deserve any benefits whatsoever of anything having to do with our medical or pharmaceutical system if they're going to pull the ladder up behind them after anybody else. I think they should be forced to grow fat, die, chop their legs off if they're, diabetic neuropathy, whatever other fat and retarded these people suffer from, and then let them, rot in the street. I just think it's evil. It's not even insane. It's absolutely evil. The attacks against our Just our scientific research. It's the saddest thing in the universe.
National independent redistricting. Republicans have not. So spare me the crocodile tears on Fox and everyone else saying, "Oh, everybody does this. Oh, these guys."
Like I feel like industrialization, like in the Enlightenment, thinking like this is like one of the big things that moved the world forward. I guess, right? I don't know my medieval history much, but the turn towards like rational thought and electricity and the sciences and everything, I think advanced us in a lot of different ways. America has a lot of grit, a lot of, strong. Arnold Schwarzenegger is not American, I know, but yeah, you know what? Excuse me, he is American. My bad. He is American. But like we have that, but also like our scientific research and our intelligence is also a huge part of the United States. Whether we're talking about AI today, whether we're talking about being the first motherfuckers to have the nuclear bomb is a big deal. It's important.
Guys have been gerrymandering for years and years and years, not like these folks have. And we're at least willing to call that out. In California, we have moral authority because for 15 years we've had an independent redistricting commission, and we have some of the most competitive races. They may be going to Democrats. That's on the basis.
I thought DGG had the most competitive races.
For 15 years, we've had an independent redistricting commission, and we have some of the most competitive races. They may be going to Democrats. That's on the basis of competition, but some of the most competitive districts in America.
Find me districts as close as the ones we have in California, where Valadeo is winning, where Ken Calvert is winning, where Darrell Issa is winning, and show me the equivalent in a place like Texas. You have New York and you have California, the biggest weapons for Democrats who have independent redistricting commissions, and yet look at what the Republicans have in their big weapons. Texas and Florida, you have you have gerrymandered states that are being gerrymandered even further to consolidate power for these Republicans, which raises the question: if Greg Abbott and these Texas Republicans want to ramp up the stakes even further, are we going to have time to offer some commensurate response to that?
No, and to your credit, you've been talking a lot more about that, particularly in relationship to the Voting Rights Act, particularly in relationship to the Supreme Court, and the likelihood it appears that they may throw that out.
Yeah.
This is about race. This is not just about justice. This is not just about the core tenets of our founding fathers. This fundamentally now could get to another level if the Voting Rights Act is thrown out and these guys with total impunity can whitewash, literally, not figuratively, some of these districts all across the country. So look, that's a break the glass. I mean, we've already break the glass. That's another level.
Yeah.
And there's the ability for states to move. They can call special sessions of their legislature, governors in blue states. You can call special elections. You can look at your constitutional constraints and look at the prospect of getting voters to consider constitutional amendments. There are many different tacks we can take. Right now, this we know we can do. We have the ability to do it for November 4th. We're getting it through the legislature with 2/3 majorities in both houses. We're going to do it in a transparent way. We're going to do it in a temporary way. And we're going to do it in a democratic way. We're going to put the maps on the ballot. People can see them for themselves. They're not going to be drafted behind closed doors, and they're not going to be drafted to Donald Trump's liking. So
most of the stuff like landing on the moon was because of a push by government to embrace science prior to World War II. America was a country where very little science happened. It was mainly Europe that embraced science back then. I don't think we disagree. But the power of the United States was, I think the power of liberalism and capitalism was the ability to adapt. Right, I think that's the strongest. One of the big things that I made, that I was arguing with a Econo boy about when it came to capitalism, and it's one of the reasons why I kept pushing on this idea of like, how would we do investment? Is because capital has the ability to adapt. Money can flow to different areas. One of the nice things about liberalism, especially in the United States, is that we can incorporate a ton of different peoples into our national and our ethno-national identity, right? What does it mean to be an American? You have a green card or you're a citizen. Literally, that's it. Anybody that says differently is a loser that doesn't know history and is probably somebody who we wouldn't want here if we had an IQ test anyway, okay? So the ability for us to incorporate a ton of different people to respond to our environment, like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I don't know prior to World War I, maybe even prior to World War II, like how much of a demand there was on cutting edge technologies. I mean, I'm sure there probably was in a lot of different ways, but like during World War II and everything else, like we had the ability to incorporate scientific researchers from Europe to do scientific research in the United States, for the government to be the body that was pushing on us to do that research. And we were able to do it. I think that speaks to the character of the nation a little bit. I don't think it was just like, I don't think any country in the world could have just said, hey, well, other countries in the world were trying to push for that research, right? But we got it done here first, okay?
So this whole situation has kind of surged onto the scene in just the last few weeks, really. And to your great credit, you have responded as quickly as you possibly could, wasting no time in getting this thing on the ballot so that we can have our maps redrawn to counteract, to fight fire with fire against what they're doing in Texas. We still have other Democratic governors across the country who we've heard them say the right things, but we haven't seen action. And so in light of the fact that you're moving right now, we're getting this thing on the ballot in just a few months, and so this thing is moving as quickly as possible. What's your message to these other governors across the country who represent states that could also serve as weapons to counteract what the Republicans are doing, who haven't made any moves yet, any concrete moves yet to do something?
Well, gratitude to Kathy Hochul, gratitude to J.B. Pritzker for recognizing the urgency of the moment, for hosting the Texas delegation. Deep gratitude to the Texas delegation for raising the awareness and the stakes that put a lot of wind in our sail, that gave us the ability to make the case to our legislature. But now it's time to act. Now it's time to take it to the next step. And it's not just those two that have already demonstrated a commitment on this. It's many other states. There are a lot of other blue states out there. Let's go. Like, I mean, this is it. There's no dress rehearsal. There's not, I mean, this guy is going after any institution that cultivates independent thought. He's rewriting history in real time at the Smithsonian. He's literally going after institutions of higher learning like the UC system, and notably here, UCLA, which is doing life-saving research that literally is protecting our national security. It's the reason we're the economic tentpole of the American economy and the world economy in the United States of America as a beneficiary. This guy is wrecking it all in real time.
It's just so crazy that you would attack one of your, like, I don't want to, obviously I'm a liberal, okay, so maybe I'm a bit biased, but like truly, like one of your most important states is California, right? If you're talking about competing in AI, if you're talking about competing in technology, you're talking about software development, you're talking about productive labor, like why would you make an enemy out of a state that's so productive? Like it's so, like I can understand, no, actually I can't understand. I'm sorry, I was trying to be charitable. No, I can't understand it. What, like I'm just trying to think if Democrats ever have this adversarial of a relationship to any of the red states ever. Does this ever happen? Like, did we see Obama or Biden fighting with, like, even like if I try to think like fighting with Florida, it's usually fighting with like DeSantis, and it's usually in response to them attacking them first. Like, it's just so crazy.
We need to wake up. We cannot survive if he rigs not just Texas, but he goes to Indiana, goes to Missouri, goes to Ohio, he goes to Florida. We have to have other governors of like mind, and there are many, to now do something, not just say something.
Right, I think that the main point here is if you stand for any democratic ideal, all of it relies on having a functioning democracy. So if you're a governor or a state legislator in another state and you claim to want to combat climate change or expand healthcare or protect women's reproductive rights or make unions stronger or whatever it is, protect kids in schools from guns, whatever it may be, all of that relies on being able to survive in a functional democracy, to have the opportunity to be elected in the first place. And so if that...
Yes. Yeah. They're bringing it around. They're talking about it. This is, yeah. Like, there is no virtue in adhering to a system if the system is going to cause the ship to sink. Like, you have to right the ship. There's no virtue in unilateral disarmament. I'm gonna be spamming that statement. You're gonna get tired of hearing me say that this year and next year, is that unilateral disarmament thing, because it's true. There's no virtue in that.
The House is rigged. If they're able to scientifically engineer maps so that Democrats are precluded from ever having the opportunity to win, none of it matters. Yes. And so we can defend, we can claim that we want to stand for something. We can beat our chests about standing up for our values. But if we can't do it, if there's no practical way, if there's no method to actually be in power, then none of that matters. And so this is the whole ballgame right here.
God bless you. We're about to celebrate the 250th anniversary of our founding fathers. Co-equal branches of government, popular sovereignty, rule of law. You're spot on. Everything you just said is spot on. This is it. And I mean, there's literally no more evidence than you need than the evidence that has been submitted in the first 6.5, 7 months of the Trump administration. And you think this is going to get better? You think if we just say, well, Mr. Trump, it's fine,
Explain unilateral disarmament for the retards, me. The reason why we don't take our nukes down when other people have nukes is because we want to let other people know that if you try to nuke us, we'll nuke you. You're going to get fucked, okay? If we were to take all of our nukes down and just be there without nukes, then in a way, you are exposing yourself to basically other nuclear powers doing whatever the they want. Say we get rid of all of our nukes and Russia decides to invade the Baltics. Well, what are you going to do? And then let's say you're like, okay, well, fuck you, we're going to invade you. And you're like, well, you could do that, but also we have nuclear submarines like outside of all of your major cities. Like, oh, okay, well, we'll bomb you really hard. Not as hard as we can bomb you. Okay, right? The mutually assured destruction is done because both sides have the ability to destroy the other side. If unilateral disarmament doesn't make any sense because it leaves you exposed to basically whatever your enemy wants to do to you.
We just, we know it's a race to the bottom. You may call upon those other states. Can you just do 5 and California will stand down? Yeah. God damn it, enough. Yeah. Democrats, stop being weak. Step up.
I've been spamming unilateral disarmament on r/Colorado all morning. I bet I've seen your account because I saw somebody on that subreddit typing that reply to comments.
Guys have been dominating the narrative. They have been defining the terms of the debate. It's time to get on our off our heels, onto our front toes. It's time to do just that. Dominate the narrative, flood the zone, and surround sound. It's time for us to all band together. It is about the United States of America. He doesn't believe in that. He believes in the red states. He's going after. It's a war. He's a wartime president. He's the head of a war party. War on women. War on voting rights. War on Hispanics. War on this state. War on institutions. I want war on history. I mean, this is serious. This guy's trying to get a Nobel Peace Prize. That's what he's going to try to say tomorrow in Alaska, that he's the big guy trying to find peace? Really?
He wants a Nobel Peace Prize so badly. It's so pathetic. That's why Netanyahu suggested, I bet Trump brought it up in a conversation. He's actually so pathetic.
When he's bringing war to the American people, he put military in the streets, not of Baghdad. And he didn't send the military in his first administration anywhere in the world. He sent the United States Marines into the United States of America in one of the bluest cities in this country, in Los Angeles, one of the great cities, American cities. That's what Donald Trump did. He is a wartime president.
on this idea of weakness, groups that purport to be good government groups who are pushing back already against this. And I guess, while we would say we have to push back on this idea of unilaterally disarming, you have some of these good government groups, including a group like the League of Women Voters, who are pushing back here and saying that we shouldn't do this because even though the Republicans are doing it, we have to unilaterally disarm. And so they're aligning themselves with this MAGA movement, with Donald Trump, with Greg Abbott. And so what's your reaction in light of the fact that we should be fighting fire with fire to protect democracy so that we don't just capitulate completely to the right, that instead they're just focusing solely on, I guess, what's immediately in front of them, which is that pushing back at all is going to be some type of bad government move? Well,
there's no good government when government is totally eliminated. It's no longer the rule of law, back to this notion of rule of dawn.
You should fight back against Tom Bilyeu when he is committed to democracy, for better or worse. Sam Harris told him, democracy is not a suicide cult. Yeah, I need to get my mind out of the gutter because it's always the only way I can think of combating that, I don't know if I did it with Tom Bilyeu or not, but it's analogies in my mind are just so perfect for that, right? Like, I really, really, really want to have sex, okay? And it's like, okay, that's fine, you want to have sex, and this other guy wants to have sex too, but you don't want to have sex with him. Like, we call that rape, right? There's no such thing as like one person sex, right? That's just rape. And the idea that like, well, if I just let me, at least I could have sex. No, both of you have to be like willing to play by the rules. It doesn't work. You can't just have one person wanting to do it. It has to be both people. And I mean, it's the same. This is like the unilateral disarmament thing, but with an analogy, I guess. But yeah, you can't. It's not. sometimes I make these arguments. I'm like, this is so stupid. Like, this is so obviously true. It feels like there are some things. There's like, I don't even know why I'm putting the logical argument here. It's not logic that's preventing the person I'm arguing with from understanding this, right? Somebody sent me some email that I should use a fart analogy whenever people bring up this, like, oh, it's not legal, or isn't it legal? Can't Trump do this? And somebody said you should ask people, like, if somebody has like the most bombastic gastric problems ever, and they step into an elevator and they fart everywhere every single time somebody goes in, like, that's not illegal, right? Like, should they have the right to do that? I mean, probably. You're not going to criminalize farting. Like, what if somebody were to step into every single elevator in the United States and start farting in all of them, and you always have to deal with it? Like, is it legal? Yeah, but like, nobody wants that. It's bad for everything. Nobody's going to use elevators. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I have to reach for really desperate analogies or try to think of ways to argue things because it's not a real argument. This is not a real argument. Nobody really truly believes that it's good for the president of the United States to launch civil lawsuits against people. Nobody really believes that idea. That is a partisan hack idea. Like, just for saying it, you've exposed yourself to be so stupid, I think.
Some type of bad government move.
Well, there's no good government when government is totally eliminated. It's no longer the rule of law, back to this notion of rule of dawn. I mean, the League of Women Voters thinks that by aligning with Donald Trump, that's all they're doing. It's a binary. It's not complicated. Right. By aligning with Donald Trump, the League of Women Voters thinks that's good government. When he doesn't believe in independent redistricting, he's going to eliminate independent redistricting. He doesn't believe it.
Wait, are they really? Dude, I've read so much bad shit about the Teamsters Union stuff? Oh, man.
Advise and consent. He doesn't believe in the power of co-equal branches of government and oversight. When he's trying to rig the election, when he's trying to change the rules by playing with a brand new set of rules in the mid-decade on the redistricting, give me a break. With all due respect to them, they are dead wrong on this issue.
I have to ask, because this has gotten quite a bit of attention online, but I have a tweet here.
Which one's this?
This is, well, what I would love is to have you read this in your voice. If you'd like to just take a shot at it.
Well, I mean, wow. Tomorrow history will be made. Now, I'm not going to be as effective.
You could do the Gandhi Holocaust example. Hitler killed 5 million Jews. It is the greatest crime of our time, but the Jews should have offered themselves to the butcher's knife. They should have thrown themselves into the sea from cliffs. It would have aroused the world and the people of Germany. As it is, they succumbed anyway in their millions. I don't know enough about Gandhi to speak about Gandhi. I did like a mini period where I learned a lot more about MLK. This was mostly off stream. I didn't understand as much there's a term for this. It wasn't nonviolent protesting. It was, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Was it just nonviolence? Not civil disobedience. Maybe it was just nonviolence. But like the idea was you're not just nonviolently protesting to get the shit beat out of you because it's epic and because that's like morally good. Like, it was an optics strategy. Because if you are nonviolent and your opponent is unhinged, they look really bad, and you accomplish something with that. It was nonviolence. It wasn't just like peaceful protesting. It was a commitment to nonviolence, but it wasn't a commitment to nonviolence for the morality of being nonviolent. It was a commitment to nonviolence because of the effectiveness of nonviolence. This is one of the things I've learned in my own career, and it's very, very hard, and it's a deeply unsatisfying feeling, is sometimes it feels like the strongest response to a thing is to lash out or attack. And I see a lot of young people make this mistake when they look at the difference and say like Malcolm X and MLK. They're like, oh, people like MLK were weak. People like Malcolm X were strong, right? Because the people that wanted to fight back or be violent, these are your big changers or whatever. That's not always the case. Sometimes like it's the commitment to nonviolence, the ability to endure whatever it is the opposition wants to throw at you, and then through that endurance, right, and then through the framing of the other side being unhinged, that's where a lot of the that's where a lot of your, I guess, like international appeal, national appeal, like people will look at you better for that, basically. So the commitment to nonviolence was not just oh my God, we have to be moral and peaceful. It was if they beat the shit out of us and we don't do anything, they look really, 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 really bad, which is what happened with a lot of the MLK protesting.
As the person that you may recognize is on True Social, but in this case, we push this down on Twitter. Caroline Levitt will have no answers.
Well, hold on. I don't want you to breeze right through the brilliant. Go on. It's not just Caroline Levitt.
Caroline
Levitt. Right.
Are you going back to the being nice arc? No. I'm trying like a mixture of things. Right now I'm in my tendrils arc. I'm spreading my tendrils again and make connections on that bullshit again. Yeah, this Teamster shit, after Biden poured like tens of billions of dollars or whatever into these people, they came out and they endorsed Trump, and now they're donating money to the Republicans? What the fuck?
It's not just Caroline Levitt.
Caroline
Levitt. Right.
Oh, they didn't endorse Trump in 2024, but they didn't endorse Democrats. Okay.
of no answers for the supposed fake media about California's beautiful, big, beautiful maps. People are saying that they were the greatest maps. They're just saying this. They are, right? People are saying the greatest maps
Many people have heard that.
ever created, even better than Christopher Columbus's. Donald the Failure Trump, be warned that tomorrow may be the worst day of your life, all because you missed the deadline. You missed a lot of deadlines. Liberation Day for America, GCN. I should have said thank you for your attention to this matter.
So what gave you the idea to, on this idea of fighting fire with fire, to literally adopt his rhetorical genius?
Gloves off, man. Just gloves off. It's all on the line. It's it. Like enough. You're wearing a tie. I took my tie off. Take the tie off.
That's right.
Like it's it. Don't dream of regretting. I said that, this is not no do-over. This is it. Wake up to what's going on in this country. And I'll iterate, I'll try anything. That's what that represents. I'm just trying to break through, man. I'm just trying to be accountable, to be able to look at my kids and say, I woulda, coulda, shoulda, know that I did everything I could. And you know what? See what fate brings. But we're going to put everything on the damn line. And that's, why I'm proud of the folks from Texas.
What did I read? I read a copy post on Twitter or whatever. It was a good-ass one. And the final thing was like a silhouette of Hillary Clinton running again in 2028. Bro, conservatives would collectively, I think half the conservatives in this country themselves, if Hillary ran in 2028 and won. Holy shit. And then had like Kamala as the VP. Oh my God. Woo! I know the Rich Building disappointed you, but please know, in my direct community, there were 4 MAGA people who saw you push against Peterson and started pivoting your content from that one comment. Sure. Listen, all the strategies work in different ways. It all works together.
Texas. That's why I'm proud of folks showing up at the No Kings rally. People haven't given up yet. I'm telling you, we can win. We're going to do this. We can win this November. We can win next November. And then we can get this country back on track. And I tell you, I took it for granted. I did. Even during Trump, one point, I took so much for granted. And people ask all the time, well, do you think authoritarians here? Well, not yet for me. But sure as hell for the people walking on the streets that look different from me. And now.
I'm sorry, dude. Which way, America? Look at all these beautiful white children. What is that? Holy shit. Racist much? You can't be racist to non-white conservatives. True!
I even wonder if you got these big corporate titans that are selling their soul.
Yeah.
Maybe it's come for them as well. Nationalizing, taking 15% of their profits.
There was an announcement today about Intel, about the United States government possibly taking a stake in Intel. And it's ironic that it's happening at the hands of people who vilify Democrats as communists, where you have the government now taking stakes in.
You're worried about Mandami? Really? Seriously?
Also, remember, please be ready for this and be ready to debate this, guys, and tell all your friends and your staffers and anybody that's listening, okay? We have left the liberal axis. Where's that thing that Eban drew for me or whatever, okay? This motherfucker. This stupid. Where was it? Democrats and Republicans, okay? When I say Republicans, I'm talking like neocons, conservative Christians, Georgists, I guess, I don't know, libertarian Republicans, whatever, right? These people pre-MAGA, okay? These people here are all liberals. They believe in like free market enterprise, capitalism, the ability to start businesses, freedom of speech, okay? Limited government, broadly, things like this. Yes, even the Democrats believe in limited government, right? These are liberals, okay? The majority of the Democratic Party is still in the liberal zone. The majority of MAGA is not in the liberal zone. They are outside. They are illiberal, okay? What does that mean? Stop being surprised when they support things that are not liberal, like socialist things, okay? These guys all share other types of beliefs. For instance, they will mobilize the government to do extreme things. They're just looking to protect different groups of people. Back in the Nazi debating days, which maybe we're going back into it, I don't know, we used to call these people third positionists, okay? People that had the third positions, I guess we see neo-fascists here. I believe these are people who were, they'll say they are socially conservative, but economically liberal or economically left. But what that means is that when you go and you talk to these people, and I'm sure this changes from thing to thing. I'm not saying this is all of them or this is like the single defining thing. But generally speaking, what'll happen is when you argue with these people, you'll say things like, well, don't we want things like social health care and don't we want things like a strong welfare state to protect our, the weakest among us? These people will say, yes, I do. I do want single payer health care. I just want it for like 80% white people, okay? We can't have single payer health care. And then they'll deploy, and if you're not ready for those arguments, okay, you're going to get obliviated. Because all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, God, wait, maybe this guy's way more economically left-leaning than I originally thought. But then you're going to start to get swamped with the, yeah, don't you want social health care? You like the Nordic states, right? Yeah, of course. The only reason it works there is because of their ethnic homogeneity, okay? Notice how their socialized healthcare works because they're 99% white. How are you going to make it work over here when you got all these illegal immigrants flooding in, when you got all these black and brown people, the same people that are giving them trouble in Europe, right? Notice how those welfare systems aren't working as well anymore. They're failing because of all the colored people coming in. It's not good, right? So just stop getting surprised when, I'm bringing this up because now they just mentioned Trump wanting to buy huge shares in Intel, like the US government buying shares in Intel. Republicans, MAGA right now, are majority not liberal, okay? They have, if Donald Trump were to say today, the government is going to own some US company, they'd be all for it, 100%. You know how they used to like scare us about the Green New Deal? They would do it. They would say, yeah, that's fine as long as like Trump gets to control things. They're fine with that. Just be aware of that. Be careful.
At the hands of people who vilify Democrats as communists, where you have the government now taking states and
You're worried about Mandami? Really? Seriously? And you're sitting there condoning this kind of behavior? Crony capitalism?
Yeah.
Writing big checks, maybe buying crypto? I mean, the greatest grift in American history, billions and billions of dollars? I mean, this is sick. This is sick. This is sick. This cannot.
Yes, and it is sick. It's not normal. It is not normal. That is true. Please, thank you, God. It is not normal. It's crazy. All of it is crazy. Yes.
Grift in American history, billions and billions of dollars. I mean, this is sick. This is sick. This is sick. This cannot continue. And if institutions like Harvard are going to sell their soul, then we need to do more. And we have.
Oh, yeah. What? Wait, was it Harvard or was it? I thought it was Columbia recently. Was it Harvard was going to like pay $1 billion to restart their research or some bullshit? Ugh.
Then we need to do more. And we have to call this out. This is, I don't want to overstate it, but I can't understate how important November 4th is. And that's why I call it Liberation Day here in California. This is it, man. If we roll over, we fail. Fourth largest economy in the world, size of 21 state populations combined. If we can't, in the most un-Trump state, push back, I don't know what's going to happen in three years. This guy will run again.
To that.
Thank God, I will say. Remember, we are so lucky. We're getting an actual vaccine, an inoculation against fascism. All right, not to be extreme, but like the fact that Donald Trump is just such a stupid leader, because this fight that Newsom is on right now, I guarantee you, it would be a lot harder if Trump was able to maintain his relationship with Elon Musk, because crypto people, as much as they might think that they're smarter and above everyone else, are the same sheep when it comes to following other people as any other retarded loser in society, and all of these retards bawed their way behind Elon Musk right into Trump's camp. Thank God that relationship fell apart. So it makes the bond a little bit weaker. Was cleaved by fear, and some might say, just kidding.
That point, this is going to be a heavy lift, and we'll finish off with this. This is going to be a heavy lift as we head toward November 4th, and certainly there's going to be opposition. The RNC is going to oppose this, and they're going to put all of their eggs in this basket to fight this in California, because it's going to be easier for them to fight it in one state like California, an easy scapegoat for them, than it is going to be to fight this thing nationwide. And so what can folks who are watching and listening right now do to help? Because I know this is going to be an expensive lift.
This initiative is about giving you power. The power to stop Donald Trump, the power to push back against rigged elections, the power to have a national election that's fair. It's the power to push back. And that power is about showing up. It's about making a contribution. If you can do $3, $5, $10 the cause. There are a lot of folks, I'm just going to level set with you, and I hate to even acknowledge this, that are scared to write a big check because they know that Donald Trump may threaten them. We're counting on you. Yeah. We're counting on you. We the people.
Wait, are you allowed to donate? What are they even collecting donations for? What would you donate for if you wanted to donate to this? I don't think you can just donate to the state of California. You can't donate to a ballot initiative. The November 4th thing he's talking about, is this the initiative for redistricting, or is he referring to the midterms when he's talking about this November 4th date? It's not midterms, right? That's next year.
We exist for the consent of the people. This is it. This is it. So we need
Newsom's Patreon.
people, to the extent you can, to contribute, let folks know what's at stake. This is not about California's 5 seats. This is about representation across this country. And things that you see on your TV that are happening here in LA, again, I cannot impress upon you more, are previews of things to come in your backyard unless we stand up and push back.
Well, look, this is the entire ballgame right here, and these next few months are going to be absolutely pivotal. So for everybody watching and listening, if you can contribute, help get the word out, that's going to be crucial here. So I'm going to put the link right here on the screen. I'm going to put it in the post description of this video. If you're listening on the podcast, it'll be in the show notes. If you have anything to contribute, it'll help get the word out to as many people as possible, because to the governor's point, this is the whole ballgame here. And these next couple of months are going to be crucial in terms of what happens, not just in California over the next year, but also in terms of this country in the next few years. So with that said, Gov, thanks so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Great to be with you. Thank you, man.
What do you donate? What is this to? Please make contribution to the Election Rigging Response Act.
The Trump administration.
Shut up! Is it for messaging? I'm just curious what the entity is. Is this like, are you limited? Is it like $5,000 max? Wait, am I allowed to donate with my business, or do I donate with myself? Or can I do both? Is BTC doing exactly what you'd want to do? Maybe. I like being more adversarial. I think my dream role is just having huge debates with people. I think that's what I excel the most in. The canvassing and all the political activity stuff is fun as well, and I think I can do that okayly, but I mean, my big strength is like research and debate. That's like my most fun thing. Wait, I want to donate to this, but I don't know. Am I allowed to donate with my I don't know if this is like a business expense or how this works. Can I expense this? I don't know if I can actually. Going to my personal civilian funds, okay. Please leave a tip for Act Blue technical services. What? This is too far. Now the IT teams are asking for tips. Calm down, retard. It's like Wiki. No, it's not, you retard. I'm aware of tips where it's like you can tip to cover the transaction fee. I know what those look like. I'm usually okay with that, and I do cover that for Wikipedia. This is just asking for a tip. Please leave a tip for Act Blue Technical Services. Power the nonprofit fundraising platform Democratic candidates and progressive causes rely on. And then it gives you a percent out of 20%. What? I'll do 10% because I'm an actual cuck. I'm an actual cuck. Here, me. Just me. Your credit card was declined? Wow. Well, looks like no tip for you, motherfuckers. Oh, I'm trying to make you website. Hold on. Thank you. Why did Chase give me a fraud alert when I tried to donate to the Democrats? When I donated $20,000 to Donald Trump, they didn't pull a fraud alert. Just saying.
Right outside, this happened in Little Tokyo. Federal agents showed up for an ICE raid, claiming they had no idea that the governor was in town. We have Fox 11's Chelsea Edwards live there with the story tonight. Chelsea.
Yeah, it happened just feet behind me in this plaza, just feet away from where that gathering with the state's top officials was taking place, sparking a lot of outrage in this community, as well as accusations that it was no coincidence that ICE showed up here.
Donate $5,001 to the Mr. Beast thing to outdo Hassan. That comment that you just typed makes absolutely no sense. I know that Hassan didn't donate $5,000 to a thing after making fun of, didn't he make fun of Ethan for donating $100,000? There's no way Hassan would donate such a small, pathetic amount of money, right?
ICE agents descend on a plaza in Little Tokyo, just outside a news conference packed with elected officials.
Right behind you, brother.
Oh, Mudahar?
A man delivering berries to a nearby tea house taken away in handcuffs, his van left on the street.
Well done, Ken. Well done. Great. We're here making Los Angeles a safer place. Since we won't have politicians that'll do that, we do that ourselves. So that's what we're here.
Wait, I actually totally agree with this guy, but maybe for like the totally opposite reasons that he thinks. I actually completely agree. Almost every conspiracy around COVID-19 plus the mRNA vaccines turned out to be completely false. 2, we've found out conservatives have absolutely no principles related to small government or limited executive power due to their Trump derangement syndrome. 3, Operation Gaza Floyd. What does he mean by there? Is he focused more on the Gaza Strip or George Floyd, or what is the meme there? Saying that the Gazans are all innocent, or maybe the protests? Fentanyl. Floyd had a kill switch to cause October 7th? Oh, maybe he meant Operation Gaza flood. I shouldn't be fighting with James Lindsay because this guy actually fights with conservatives a lot, but can't help myself. This is what he's referencing. Operation Gaza Floyd was a deliberate psychological active measure on both sides of the political aisle to capitalize upon Israel's predictable and justified response against Hamas and Gaza to advance damaging radical political agendas, including one to shatter MAGA. Oh.
That'll do that. We do that ourselves. So that's what we're here today.
And the governor's inside right there.
I don't know where he's at.
Governor Gavin Newsom says that's nonsense, addressing the crowd from inside the event.
And right outside, at this exact moment, are dozens and dozens of ICE agents. Donald Trump, do you think it's coincidental?
There is no way this was a coincidence.
Outside, LA Mayor Karen Bass joined protesters and community members condemning the ICE operation.
This is a complete provocation. This has nothing to do with safety. In fact, this is the exact opposite of keeping our city safe.
He's demonizing and terrorizing our migrant communities. This needs to stop. This is fascism 100%, and it needs to be ended.
Congressman Greg Abbott, who is in a wheelchair, and Newsom says he rolled over for Trump. That's almost as bad as Jasmine Crockett calling him Governor Hot Wheels. You know, we asked for a statement, and Newsom's office said something flippant like, you know, oh, you're so woke. He'll get over it. Abbott will get over it.
Based! I'm crying. I am crying right now. Thank you. Thank you. He will get the fuck over it. How woke of you to ask. Thank you. Where the fuck was somebody inject Schumer with this shit? I still can't believe we censured that Al Green guy. That's crazy to me. Because he wanted to hold up his cane instead of a stupid sign that said, no, thank you. Fucking based. I want every single Democrat to get thrown out of the next fucking, the State of the Union. That shit needs to be, they should already be planning for that. They need to recruit high school, maybe not boys, anybody. Wait, did everybody do this or was it just me? Did you guys all do a bunch of horrible shit for your high school graduations? Like, we snuck in a ton of bouncy balls and we would hide them like in our instruments and shit. And then like at the end, when the last kid crosses the stage, like everybody's like throwing, doing crazy stuff. The dean was always like trying to police people to make sure that people weren't sneaking. Did anybody do stuff like that? Or was this just my school? They need to start planning right now. Fireworks, whatever they need to start plotting some wild shit for the State of the Union. I want to see some epic shit. White House posts insane vid of over 20 armed FBI and U.S. Marshals going to arrest the Subway sandwich thrower after offering to himself. You mean epic video, right? Oh my God, they've got the alien sound and everything.
Coming down.
Holy, look at that guy. He's a killer. He's a killer. Wait, I just realized every single Democrat should get a giant dog, because doesn't the American Disabilities Act make it illegal to prohibit like service animals from going in anywhere? And I don't think you're allowed to ask questions about them. I know, because I've had friends who have dogs who are not service animals and they just say they are, so they can bring them to restaurants. They should all just get huge dogs and bring them in with them, and they can't be kicked out. That would be epic and based. Hell the yeah. Oh my God, this is so fucking cringe. Skip to 1:30 in this. This is what they should do. This is Croatia, Serbia. It's one of the shield flag countries. I don't remember which one it was though. What were the shield flag countries? What is it? Serbia? We take those. What time is it? 1:30. Oh, I remember this. Okay, no, not this. We're not advocating for terrorism here. Okay. I saw this. Member of Taiwan's parliament steals bill to prevent it from being passed.
She gon' run away when it gets hard. She can't take the pain, she can't get scarred. She hurt anyone that gets involved. Don't wanna commit, but take it this far. She gon' do the race, just not this one.
Apparently they just printed off another one though and passed it. I don't think they need it. I didn't like research this in depth or whatever, so hopefully this wasn't just a meme. But is South Korea's leader the prime minister? They were trying to do some crazy, pass some crazy law, and there were like people running to vote like in the middle of the night or whatever, and they tried to lock him out of the building or whatever, and these guys were like jumping the fence to get in. Based? Try to declare martial law. It was just funny because I think this is like assuming all the memes are true, right? The leftists always said that you can't vote out fascism, and these guys, I think they did. They just went there. He was trying to do martial law or whatever, and it was not a law. It was a coup attempt that the opposition tried to do. Oh, okay. And they gave him the big old Reddit thumbs down, forcing President Yoon to reverse his decision. Okay. Look at the history of South Korean presidents. Like 4 or 5 are in jail. Well, the last one, or the one before that, what was the one that was like part of like the moon worshiper cult? Bro, South Korea's got some shit going on. I don't know what's going on over there. Okay, they do some wild. Wait, spreading your tendrils is not good. This looks awesome. Newsom gets asked about trolling the president. Oh, this is from the. Oh no, I thought it was one from the BTC interview.
Out of time.
Yes, please, God, yes.
What's going on with those posts on X that are clearly trolling the president? What? Can you just talk about that? Is that like a strategy?
I don't know. I hope it's a wake-up call to the President of the United States. I'm sort of following his example.
Yes.
If you've got issues with what I'm putting out, you sure as hell should have concerns about what he's putting out as president. So to the extent it's gotten some attention, I'm pleased. But I think the deeper question is, how have we allowed the normalization of his tweets through social posts?
And now CNN and MSNBC should be saying the exact same thing, right? That's true. That's a good point. Why are we mad at the Newsom press office for repeating the rhetoric that Donald Trump has been uttering unobstructedly for like 10 years? Over
the course of the last many years.
Unobstructedly?
To go without similar scrutiny and notice.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Good afternoon, and live from Texas, this is the Will Kane Show. We begin today out west in California. In dramatic fashion, Governor Gavin Newsom pulling a 5-alarm fire, not for the burning of the Palisades. Real fire in the state of California doesn't demand the attention of Gavin Newsom. Instead, he's pulled the 5-alarm fire for democracy.
We tried to play by a higher set of standards and rules with our independent redistricting, and we believe in that. We are talking about emergency measures to respond to what's happening in Texas. We'll pick up 5 seats with the consent of the people.
Consent of the people. I'm going to write that down. Remember that phrase. Consent of the people. Political talent is an interesting concept. It certainly exists. In this job, I've come across many politicians. Some are charming, some are not. Some have rhetorical skill, some stumble over their words. Some you are simply drawn to, some you are repelled. Fraudulence is a political talent. The ability to lie is a skill. And it's once been pulled off by the governor of California. But much like our conversation earlier this week with rising star Texas Democrat James Tallarico, fraudulence will eventually be exposed. And with every breath he utters, Gavin Newsom's fraudulence becomes more clear, his political talent more barren. Consent of the...
How do you counter leftist argument that Newsom is cynical or doesn't believe what he's saying? What do you mean? Why do we think he doesn't believe what he's saying?
People. A Politico poll shows California voters back independent congressional maps, meaning they prefer an independent panel draw the House district lines by nearly a 2-to-1 margin. How will Gavin Newsom, with a special session, redraw the California map to be more gerrymandering than it already exists with the consent of the people? He will try to do it by setting a 5-alarm fire and pointing out Texas.
This is the difference between what's happening in Texas and what's happening here in California. You never receive a phone call from the President of the United States to then quietly go in the back room and start drawing maps and legislatively try to jam them through against the consent of the people. We're doing precisely the opposite. We're working through a very transparent, temporary, and public process. We're putting the maps on the ballot, and we're giving the power to the people.
Something that seems to have escaped the attention of Democrats. Texans have, in overwhelming majorities, voted for Republicans. Americans have handed the levers of power through the democratic process in the House, the Senate, and the presidency to Republicans. Their policies are not popular.
I have to remind people of this. Did I say this to Dan last? Who was I arguing with? I don't remember if this is on stream or off stream. People are like so doomer on the political situation where they're saying that like we've lost everything, like the Democrats are over. It's completely like, it's like, can we take a macro breath for a moment? Like the offices have swung back and forth over and over again. Calm the down. I know everything feels like the end of the world. Well, now this presidency might be for the United States, but just in terms of like political wins and losses, like, yeah, things swing back and forth. Okay, it happens. Calm the down. Jesus. Oh yeah, it might have been on anything else with Dan, yeah.
Democrats cannot govern with the consent of the people. And now that their techniques are being mimicked in some place like Texas to draw more favorable lines, they are the ones setting, much like the fires in Palisades, a 5-alarm fire. Well, Newsom's fans weren't the only one at that afternoon event. Border Patrol agents spotted outside the rally as well, arresting suspected illegal immigrants. This reflects the consent of the people, restoring law and order on the streets of California.
Like, that is a fashy as thing to say, right? And this is also how you know these guys have absolutely no values, right? What happened to federalism and what happened to states' rights, right? Why are you championing the feds coming down here? Also, keep in mind, also for all of you ice cucks that are out here with your new Trump dragon dildos that feel like government supports you so much, remember that this whole MAGA movement, and you guys included, hated every Fed because all the feds were poisonous. The FBI lied about all the Russiagate stuff. The NSA is evil and they spy on you. QAnon proved that all the intelligence agencies were coming together to rig everything against Donald Trump. Like all of the feds, the conservative movement hated all of you. So it's funny to watch you guys come out here now, like the actual cucks you are, and pretend that you're, you know, somehow loved and accepted. Like these guys will turn on you in a heartbeat. It's just so cringe to be celebrating. It's just I mean, like, it's not necessarily cringe. Listen, if you were always a big federal government guy, sure. But when these guys were the neocons who were, you know, of small government and states' rights and are now celebrating, you know, federal officers going down to harass a gathering of state representatives, like each
suspected illegal immigrants. This reflects the consent of the people, restoring law and order on the streets of California. The governor blasting the move, though, he wrote on X, Trump's private army is illegally on private property. We will not be intimidated by this weak little man. Well, he wrote that. It's not lost on people. He's LARPing President Trump. And his office has been doing so now for a couple of days. Take a look at some of these posts. They wrote, make the maps great again. Big, beautiful.
Hold on. Okay, this guy said it. This guy said it. It stuck with me, and it's a true point. It was a really minor thing he brought up, but it I don't remember what he said exactly. It had to do with forcing confrontations, that you when you go out and you do an aggressive action, it forces the adversary to his media is going to be constrained to responding to that, right? Usually it's the Republicans who are attacking all the time. But like when Newsom is on the attack, I think you have to be very careful. There's so much stuff that's like going on that's hard to see. So one, this guy has to cover Newsom's press office tweets. So, but this is good for a variety of reasons. One, you're dictating their media diet for once, okay? Finally, right? Because usually we're having our media diet dictated to us by responding to Trump tweets, whatever, right? Now, so he has to respond to this, right? I know this is just one example too, but you know, if stuff like this continues. So one, you're forcing him to play on our terms now. He has to respond to these tweets, number one. Number two, it means that he's not highlighting some random 2-follower Twitter account and blowing up some random trans activist or whatever, doing some crazy. So you're also taking the spotlight off of, you know, more unhinged stupid that you don't want to have to be accountable for. And then three, you're controlling, you know, what the conversation is about, rather than talking about whatever he wants to talk about today. Now he gets to talk about Newsom's tweets. Like stuff like this, like forcing these types of confrontations on areas that you want to fight, I think is good.
Well, he wrote that. It's not lost on people. He's LARPing President Trump. And his office has been doing so now for a couple of days. Take a look at some of these posts. They wrote, make the maps great again. Big, beautiful rally today. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It's like a college sophomore trying to take English 101. They still haven't yet found their voice. So the only thing he knows how to do is copy. I guess imitation is the greatest form of flattery. But while Newsom focuses on not his state and not the crisis in the economy or literally in the hills of California, and instead focuses on national politics, his state is still reeling from the effects of the LA fires. And many, many are still looking for accountability.
I had meetings today with the type of people that can ensure what happened in my town won't ever happen again. This is America. We fight. Justice is coming.
So that right there, that's reality star Spencer Pratt. He lost his home in January in the LA fires, and now he's on a mission to find answers. He has said he knows things now, things that should terrify Gavin Newsom. Joining me now is Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk.
Knows that? What does he know? What, that Newsom was out there starting the fire?
Charlie, it's great to see you here today. As always, you're an astute observer of politics.
I think this is the section you were talking about. Supporter, nobody tracked him. And there's just like, it's just all these ridiculous lies that Trump repeats over and over again, and there's no checking on any of it, and the fact checkers are all biased and liberal, they say, and the center left media won't even like hold any of these people accountable. And yeah, it's very frustrating.
It's an enormous burden on our candidates to be able to respond to that much misinformation, because you almost have to pluck them. You remember the old game shows where they lock a person in a booth, turn on the fan, and see how they pluck as many dollars as they can. So when you're a candidate, you have to be very discerning and also very fast to say, that one I've got to respond to, and I've got to carve off some money for my positive message in order to come back at them on that. But we've rarely been so misinformed. I'll give you one near and dear to my heart. I was spending a fair amount of time. I always spent time as a commissioner of Social Security, President Biden's commissioner, out in the country, because it's the largest domestic program in the United States. And yes, we did security stats. So every 2 weeks, doubleheaders, Mondays and Tuesdays. Hey,
do you remember when O'Malley showed up and it was the giant poster boards that he brought up? What was he responding to? Evil. God, I hate this guy so much.
Gentlemen, yield chair, recognize Ms. Groveman from Wisconsin.
Yeah, first of all, I think there was just an unnecessary criticism of people in the workforce who aren't veterans, you know, that are
due to operational needs. Management also has sole discretion to change, reduce, or approve telework days for any employee due to the employee's performance. And before that, the first sentence says, the parties recognize that agency-assigned functions and the nature of work to be performed and the type of positions can vary significantly from office to office. So that's in the agreement.
Still, right.
See at the bottom of page 1?
Right.
Yeah,
when I read
that paragraph.
It implies here. We'll look
I
at it.
don't think it was implying anything. I think it was pretty clear.
Right. You suspended the ability, but it didn't eliminate the ability.
No, we're not going to eliminate telework. We can't because you've reduced our staffing to a 50-year low at an agency that people already paid for their customer service staffing.
Okay. We'll move on to one other thing. I'd like to show you a picture. Well, how many SSA employees work out of SSA headquarters?
Approximately 7,000 and shrinking. We lost 2,000 staff this year across the agency due to Congress's inability to pass a budget. That, therefore, puts the agency into a hiring freeze, and attrition wipes out, so far, 2,000 people.
So on a normal work day, despite having about 7,000 employees, it shows in December 2023 a parking lot almost completely devoid of workers.
Yes, it's right behind you, and I hope the camera catches it, because that was before I got to the agency. This is a picture of that same parking lot after I got to the agency.
Okay.
Because I ordered everybody back.
That should be instant retirement. You should just quit life, or at least Congress.
3 days a week, and in my commissioner's office, 4 days.
Okay. You feel it's January 2025, how many processing times, or how have processing times not returned to pre-pandemic levels? Have they?
In some cases, they have. In fact, actually, for the first time in 8 years, this is the one that most of your constituents apply for, and this is the retirement benefits. We hadn't hit 87% timeliness since 2017, but we did this year. That's this right here, and this is monthly. And by the way, in an example of the greatest example of openness, transparency, and real-time performance management, at least for the next few days, you can see all of these metrics on Social Security's website, and they're real-time.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, time for our chair. Ricky.
Headquarters, but then I was off in the country. And I was visiting Pennsylvania and visiting a lot of some field offices in the central part of Pennsylvania. And our employees behind the glass would show me the mailers they were receiving in the in the course of the campaign. In fact, some people in the waiting rooms had them with them and showed them to me. And it was, the statement was, this woman, a picture of Kamala Harris, wants to tax your Social Security benefits and allow illegal immigrants to bankrupt the Social Security Trust Fund. Now, the truth of the matter is, illegal immigrants, so-called, are not able to earn any benefits from Social Security. They never touch the trust fund except to put $22 billion into it that they'll never see a penny of later. And I was hearing from other entities that were polling on the attitudes of people. The basic question of who do you trust most to protect Social Security, that no Republican in modern times ever drew that margin so narrow as to be virtually tied with us in Pennsylvania and Michigan on the question of who do you trust more on Social Security. And yet, we were not responding to that at all. So we've got to get better at the rapid response. We've got to get better at calling out the misinformation. And we have to get better at recruiting good people who live in the United States if the other guys are going to be looking the other way as Russians or Chinese or whoever.
It might have been somebody else that said it. I thought he said it somewhere in this. But yeah, just like starting fights to force them to respond to our points rather than us being held captive by theirs. Yeah.
It's really something to see what's happened to the Democrat Party. Now, we've had that conversation. But there's something uniquely, such a repellent about Gavin Newsom and now what he's trying to do in California.
That's right. And just to reiterate your phenomenal open, Proposition 11 was voted on by the peak gerrymandering out of the hands of politicians and into this independent commission. Now, it's far from perfect. Some of the maps in California are a little bit creative, to say the least, a little circuitous. But however, it did have some sort of a spirit that the people of California did not want politics involved in the drawing of their maps.
Don't ever, remember, don't ever let this happen. You should cut them off of it. When anybody tries to do this in real life, don't ever let a Republican talk to you about your rules or your morals or your laws, because they don't give a Remember, this is the delight. This is the delightful thing that the who was the guy who talked about anti-Semitic people? The quote. I should have this one memorized. Sartre. I always pick his name up too. Hold on. You know what? Jean-Paul Sartre. Wait. I will always pick this guy's name up. Say it.
See, his gaze tactfully averted through shyness, or perhaps what Jean-Paul Sartre called nausea. Nevertheless,
not this one.
Jean-Paul Sartre. These are all people who live outside of universities, and they have the best ideas. And my career in relation to philosophy has been to say, listen, guys, we have to try and go back to what the philosopher was.
Did he already say it? I think
Graham Greene or thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre.
Jean-Paul Sartre.
As if it were a Seinfeld episode written by Jean-Paul Sartre.
Okay, I guess it is Sartre. Cringe. He's talking about anti-Semites, but this extends to all of these cringe movements. We will memorize this quote, okay? Never believe that anti-Semites are completely unaware of the absurdity of their replies. They know that their remarks are frivolous, open to challenge, but they are amusing themselves, for it is their adversary who is obliged to use rules responsibly, since he believes in rules, the anti-Semites, or MAGA, have the right to play. They even like to play with rules, with the rule of law, with government, for by giving ridiculous reasons, they discredit the seriousness of their interlocutors. They delight in acting in bad faith, since they seek not to persuade by sound argument, but to intimidate and disconcert. If you press them too closely, they will abruptly fall silent, loftily indicating by some phrase that the time for argument is past. If the Jew did not exist, the anti-Semite would invent him. Ooh, that's a good one for the deep state. We're reinventing the deep state right now for Obama because there's no deep state to blame. We reinvented the deep state for the burn bags. I guess they put the Epstein files in the burn bags. Or no, I'm sorry. They found the Russia hoax files in the burn bags, right? From Obama? Jesus, yeah.
In fact, a recent poll shows that 64% of Californians do not want to see Gavin Newsom do this. But Gavin Newsom needs to dig himself out of a hole. This is what 64% of Californians do not want to see Gavin Newsom do this. But Gavin Newsom needs to dig himself out of a hole. This is what it's all about. This is about Gavin Newsom's failed podcast strategy. Gavin Newsom had a podcast strategy, which I was the first guest on, where he was going to try to moderate himself and try to do the bro-y podcast culture, of which he was really bad at. He didn't know his facts, his figures. He didn't really know how to deal with facts like myself and other people. And he thought he was going to be...
Oh, Newsom is he's having a destiny moment where he brings on a guy. He's super nice and cordial, and then the guy talks to him later.
Welcomed in as the 2028 Democrat candidate. But the Democrat Party, they do not want someone to start a podcast. They want a quote-unquote fighter against Donald Trump. All Gavin Newsom cares about is being president of the United States. That's all he cares about. That's all that this is. This is a 2028 strategy. And so Gavin Newsom is going to try to call a special session to overturn the will of the voters. I thought it was all about democracy, right, Will Kane? It's not democracy. It's about oligarchy. And the baseline component of all of this is that the people of California, Republican and Democrat, socialist and libertarian, they don't want politicians involved in the drawing of the maps. Gavin Newsom does not care because he wants to be president more than listen to the voters of California.
Charlie, you remind me of something there. I had forgotten that you were the first guest into Gavin Newsom's attempt to podcast. You know, I talked about his fraudulence is so transparent. What was he like in person, Charlie? When you sat there, is he capable of being authentically charming? Does he have the mannerisms of it mastered, or is it exposed over a period of time? What was it like being around Gavin Newsom?
I mean, he can pass a lie detector test. I mean, this guy can win anybody over. But if you understand, it's all about the pursuit of power. This is a guy that will say anything and do anything to be in charge. His entire life has been about the ascension and accumulation of political power. And you made a really good point in your open. It's not about making sure that they could rebuild Los Angeles. Not a matter of being able to deliver results for the people of the Palisades. Not to be able to make sure that the schools of California are functioning. Right now, there is a bill that is going to head to Gavin Newsom's desk that would legalize some form of child kidnapping. It's AB 495 that is working its way through Sacramento right now. But
schools aren't UC schools still like some of the best state schools in the country? Aren't there like multiple UC schools that are like some of the best schools? Like, is that?
Gavin Newsom, what he was like personally, is honestly someone that is super inauthentic and honestly fraudulent. You contrast that with President Trump, who I saw him the other day. He is the exact same person in private that he is in public. What you see in private, we get in public. There is no fakery. There is no inauthenticity. But we have to understand that this national fight that Gavin Newsom is trying to pick. By the way, who is he to say, well, Donald Trump missed the deadline? You're the governor of a failed state that has the greatest climate on the planet that is losing population. You have to act.
Jesus, I don't know how reputable this list is, but top public schools: number 1, UCLA; number 2, University of California, Berkeley. You've got Michigan, Virginia, University of North Carolina, University of California, San Diego, University of Florida, University of Texas at Austin, Georgia Institute of Tech, University of California, Davis, University of California, Irvine. Jesus Christ! University of California, Santa Barbara. Holy shit.
Try to get people to leave California. If anyone's leaving California, they're doing so unwillingly. If people are leaving California, that means you have turned it into a smoldering crater of its former self. And Gavin Newsom, he just wants to be the king of the ashes, even though California is an unrecognizable state of its current self.
That's a great point. You were gifted the Sierra Nevadas in the Pacific Ocean, the world's 5th largest economy, and you literally drove people out of your state.
That's
you know,
exactly
words
right.
are such a plaything on the left. They are...
He's doing it! What? He's doing the thing! What?
Largest economy, and you literally drove people out of your state.
That's
you know,
exactly
words
right.
are such a plaything on the left. They are bent and tortured into whatever it is you want them to mean. And of course, they've always loved to torture the concept of democracy, always overlooking we are a constitutional republic. But for years, we were told if you question the integrity of an election, then you are actually undermining our democracy. And yet here is Gavin Newsom saying...
That's not at all what people were saying, but okay.
...saying that Donald Trump is trying to rig an election.
He did try to rig 2020. That's like an undeniable fact. It's so funny. Like 90% of Republicans think that the 2020 election was rigged, and they're correct, just in the totally wrong way, which is...
open in plain sight before one vote is cast in the 2026 midterm election. And here he is once again trying to rig the system. He doesn't play by a different set of rules. He doesn't believe in the rules. And as a consequence, we need to disabuse ourselves of the way things have been done.
That's just a more palatable way of saying what was said by Robert Francis O'Rourke. F the rules.
Well, that's right. And look, the Democrats, they're in free-for-all. They're in disarray. We know that. And the question is, which way are they going to go? And Gavin Newsom thought the Democrat Party would want some moderation on all of this. That was his original strategy when it came to his podcast, as I mentioned. But he quickly realized the Democrat Party, all they want is political power. They don't care about principles. They don't care about the betterment of D.C., Philadelphia, Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, Boston, New York, Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles, San Francisco. They control all those cities that are disasters and awful forms of how they used to be. So Gavin Newsom, he wants to change the rules in the middle of the game. And also, the Democrats, they want to say, oh, gerrymandering.
Change the rules in the middle of the game. Who was asking for redistricting and doing a re-census before the 10-year time limit on that? Who was asking for that?
The worst thing ever. You look at Illinois. Illinois is like the petri dish of American gerrymandering. But Gavin Newsom is a perfect example of somebody that stands for nothing except himself. And all he cares about is the personal accumulation of political power. And I just want to repeat this. 64% of the people of his extremely liberal state do not want to see him do this. And so much for democracy, Gavin Newsom. You're going to overturn a ballot measure to do this. Why? Because you want to try to resurrect your gutter bottom polling that shows that you don't have a great chance of being the Democrat nominee. You're trying to make yourself relevant again by overturning the will of the people of California.
Beto O'Rourke said, F the rules, grab some power. Gavin Newsom has said, pick me, I'll take the power. Charlie Kirk, it's always great to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling.
This is a guy, people look up to the President of the United States. I mean, Mr. President, it's time to act like one. This is real life. It's not reality TV. And you got to model better behavior. But I think it's sad. And I think it's even worse than you just described. And I'll just give you a specific to that. When Donald Trump was just, a day before he was to federalize the National Guard here in Los Angeles, he called me. We talked on a Friday night, late at night. And all he wanted to brag about the Newsom thing. He said, "It's pretty funny, isn't it?" He goes, "Pretty original." I said, "Well, it's not original. There was this guy, Maurice, I can't remember his name, but he used to say the same thing." He goes, "Hey, what about my hats? What do you think? It's a pretty good brand, right? Mega. Pretty good. I've sold hundreds of thousands." I mean, I'm like, "Are you serious? Are we seriously having this conversation?"
Sounds
when you're
about
supposed
right.
to be reading me the riot act about keeping people safe in Los Angeles, you never once talked about the National Guard. You never wanted to talk about what happened in LA. It's much more alarming than you think. And that's why what is happening in plain sight, you need to see for your own eyes. We've got to pay attention. This guy is unhinged. He's getting weaker and weaker by the day. You saw that with the new inflation numbers that came out, the wholesale numbers that came out today. You're seeing that with an economy that's slowing down. You see that with the crony capitalism, where he's extracting and nationalizing businesses, socializing, dare I say, some of America's most iconic businesses, and doing 15% extractions. Ask NVIDIA how that feels. Look what's happening in this country to truth and trust. He's trying to censor historical facts. He's trying to rewrite history in the Smithsonian's. This is one of the great grafts and the great corruption we've ever seen in U.S. history. Billions of dollars have been fleeced from the American people. It's right in front of us. So this is a serious moment. It requires seriousness of purpose, and it requires us to fight fire with fire and play by a new set of rules. And I know that's hard for Democrats. I know, trust me, I'm one of them. But this is a real moment of peril if we do not stand up.
So right before he's about to send the National Guard and then the military into Los Angeles and California, all he wants to talk about is his MAGA hat. And if you
wants to talk about how his debate with Kamala Harris, you cannot make this stuff up.
Did you see the debate? Did you see the hat? You like my nicknames? Like as though you're buds while he's out there saying all these horrible things while he's sending the National Guard in.
I mean, that's literally just the only thing Trump does, right? It works on a lot of retards, right? Dude, I still can't believe this. I had dinner with Trump, and he was a nice guy.
He did on this night, because he said to me early on that he'd seen our last episode, which was the Friday before this dinner. And he said, "I thought maybe you'd be nice, but you hit me really hard." I did, because I'm not going to pull my punches that presidents get to propose a third term for themselves. He understood that, and without animus. That doesn't mean he's not going to try to do it. At one point, I said to him,
this whole thing was so dumb. Oh, my God.
Gavin Newsom is running to become Trump's top antagonist. The California governor, or more accurately, his staff, has been mimicking the president's trademark all-caps truth social rants with posts like this. Donald Taco Trump, as many call him, missed the deadline, 3 exclamation points. California will now draw new, more beautiful maps. They will be historic as they will end the Trump presidency. Dems take back the House. Earlier, Newsom held a press conference to unveil California's new redistricting push. Watch.
Today is Liberation Day in the state of California. And as Senator Schiff said, Donald Trump, you have poked the bear, and we will punch back. We cannot unilaterally disarm. They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides, because they know what Donald Trump knows. He's going to lose the midterms.
Somebody else was at the Newsom news conference. Border Patrol agents were outside arresting illegal immigrants, and it sure set off the governor.
Pretty sick and pathetic. And it just said everything you need to know, the setting that we're under. That they chose the time, manner, and place to send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. It said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact.
The language is intentional for a lot of these things, right? Time, manner, and place, right? Referring to the clause for holding elections and everything. This is left to the states. Earlier when he was saying
power that gerrymandering provides. Want to rig these elections? It's back. We cannot unilaterally disarm. They want to rig these elections,
Wait, there's one more
and they
phrase
want
you
the
used.
power that gerrymandering provides because they know what Donald Trump knows. He's going to lose the midterms.
Somebody else was at the Newsom news conference. Border
There was another. Sorry, hold
California's
on.
new redistricting.
Wait.
Today is Liberation Day.
Oh, the Liberation Day thing. Oh, yeah, trying to take back that Liberation Day thing from Trump. I think it actually triggers Trump, too. I think it does.
Enter in place to send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. She said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact. They'll deny it, I'm sure. Maybe they won't deny it. She said everything you know about the authoritarian tendencies of the President of the United States.
What do you think of that, Charlie?
The guy's such a faker. He's such a fraud. It's so absurd. Who has time to come sit down and make up all of these tweets? And if you read them, he put a lot of effort.
Imagine saying that! What? What? Imagine saying that.
Fraud. It's so absurd. Who has time to come sit down and make up all of these tweets? And if you read them, he put a lot of effort into it. And he really did try to sort of like get the voice of Trump. And I just, you know, when you look at the real problems that California faces with whether it's the same ones that, you know, that we face nationally with illegal immigration, but also the very specific ones, you have entire neighborhoods that were burned to the ground a year ago that are desperate to rebuild. And his government is preventing people from rebuilding those houses. You would think that he might focus on that. Instead of doing these ridiculous effort to try to channel Trump. One of his tweets at 9:42 this morning said, Donald Trump and Greg Abbott are going to have a very bad day today, which sounds a lot like Baghdad Bob or like the mullahs in Iran when they're like talking junk on Twitter as Donald Trump is like bombing their nuclear facilities. He's ridiculous. He's completely unserious. He reminds me a lot of Michael Avenatti before Michael Avenatti went off to prison. When everybody's like, oh, this guy's going to be the next president. This guy's not going to be president. This guy's a ridiculous buffoon, and he's not going anywhere. It does remind you, though, how much of a complete original Donald Trump is. You know, all these
Holy glaze, bro.
people want to like mimic him. He's not mimicking anybody. He is the original.
Yeah, I think that I hate it when people copy everything else. Like when my sister did it to me, that would drive me insane.
Wow.
Yeah, Angie, hardest hit. But several of these people are trying that, or they're trying to be tough, and it's not authentic. It's like, why not just try to be yourself? It's the worst way that you can try to find some sort of cohesion with people outside of your bubble is to just be yourself, not to try to be somebody else, in this case, Trump.
But themselves have been rejected again and again now by the voters. Voters don't want defunding the police, defending the criminals, higher taxes, more regulations. Look at his California. Everything beautiful about California was God-made. Every disaster there to me seems man-made. And he's the man.
God made Silicon Valley? What?
Right now, at the moment. I'm not even sure anybody tuning in, Dana, let alone to California, halfway into his press conference, even knows what he's talking about. They presume that we all know what brought us to that moment. That platform says rigging, Election Rigging Response Act. Adam Schiff's behind him, of all people. Next, we're going to invite Kamala up to the podium. I mean, Adam Schiff, of all people, who's got a true problem on his hands, having lied in the mortgage application thing. He's a senator from California, yet somehow he lives in Maryland. And here's a guy who lied to all of us day after day. There's evidence of Russia collusion in plain sight. This is relevant now because these investigations will continue. I don't think this is a case of flattery is the greatest, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. I think it's a messageless, rudderless, leaderless party. And by the way, just north of him up in Alaska, starting tomorrow, President Trump is going to literally own the turf again. He's trying to bring about yet another peace deal. We have Armenia and Azerbaijan. We have Cambodia and Thailand. We have what he's doing in the Middle East. We have direct foreign investment, all these trade deals. He goes to the Gulf states. He comes out of there with investments in this country. And now he's going to do it again with Putin. And meanwhile, you've got Shifty Schiff and Newsom trying to troll him online. By the way, Donald Trump is one of one. Even Republicans who try to act like him often come
They fail,
short.
and it's embarrassing.
They fail. And it's, yeah.
But Jessica, also today there's a poll that said 61% of California Democrats oppose the plan to throw out the Independent Redistricting Commission. Do you think that holds, or can you persuade them that he's right?
So the problem with that poll is it didn't actually ask the question that applies to what Gavin Newsom is offering, which is to not get rid of the Independent Commission on a long-term basis, but to suspend it. He's offering 3 different maps, 3 different versions of what's possible. It'll be on a ballot measure, so it will be democratically voted on November 5th.
I wonder how much longer she's going to be allowed to be on Fox on this show.
That poll question basically said, do you want to just get rid of the Independent Commission? He's saying to suspend it until 2030. He knows how important independent redistricting is. It was Schwarzenegger's baby. He's spoken to the governor about that, former governor, and former governor. So that poll is not applicable to what's actually going on here. I know it did get a lot of pickup. Kellyanne says all these people have been rejected. Gavin Newsom hasn't been rejected. He's been elected and reelected and recalled and then elected again. And he won that quite handedly. So I don't know where you're getting that. You can make fun of Adam Schiff, Alex Padilla, whoever you want, but California needs to do something because of what Donald Trump has asked Texas to do. And there is no reason that Democrats should show up with a knife to a gunfight. And that's what he's arguing. And it's not just that, so Texas will pick up 5 seats. What Gavin Newsom could potentially do if the voters decide, again, this is about democracy, that they want to go full tilt, they could get 9 seats. So they could get 5 Republicans out, and they could also shore up 4 vulnerable Democrats in swing seats and make sure we get those as well.
And when they're elected, I'll clarify, it's easy, simple to get elected, re-elected, and re-elected as a Democrat, as a socialist, as a
Socialist?
Gavin Newsom is a socialist.
As a coddle criminals. Has he condemned Mamdani? Has he condemned what's going on here?
Condemn Mamdani? Why would we want the governor of California to have any opinion about the mayor of New York? What are you talking about?
Stop just throwing whatever on the wall about this. You're just using buzzwords.
I don't need to use buzzwords. Here's
Really,
the
Mamdani
substance of
has
this
nothing to
fight.
do with Gavin Newsom.
Oh, New York City has nothing to do with the governor of California. They're the same
Yes, that's correct. It doesn't.
party, as is your party. But since you invoked my name, we're going to do Fox News debate rules, and I get 30 seconds. Here's what I meant.
I never
It is
get that
simple.
rule.
It is so simple to be elected, reelected, reelected. As a Democrat in California, it's impossible to govern as these kinds of Democrats in California is all I mean. His policies are being rejected. People do want tough on crime. They don't want fewer cops on the beat. They don't want fewer Border Patrol people helping them. They don't want schools that are failing their kids year in and year out, and Democrats insisting everything's okay. He wants to be president in 2028. He ought to find a new country to try to do that.
Let's ask a Californian what you think, Greg Gutfeld.
I'm struck about how finally you see passion among Democrats, but it's not about a policy. It's about a power-based initiative. It's about how can we do this so we stay in power. It's not about homelessness, drug addiction, fires, or trans, or crime, or the border. It's about redistricting. And then their fire is up. Gavin is so creepy, he makes American Psycho look like Pippi Longstocking. Again, with Taco, they don't get it. You know, if you want a meme or anything to be memorable, it has to be truth taken from absurdity. But if you are the absurdity, it's not possible. They should have learned that from Dark Brandon, where they tried to make dementia cool. Oh, yeah, sure, Joe is frail, confused, and incoherent, but he can almost put on his sunglasses by himself. Gavin.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump stares at the sun.
Can't be Trump, because behind Trump's charisma is specific common sense policies. He understands people. Build a wall, deport criminals, eradicate vagrancy, get trans out of sports. What is Gavin for? Nobody knows. He cannot point to one policy. It's not about crime. It's not about the wildfires. It's nothing. I don't know what he stands for. And it leads me to this other thing about trying to figure out why Democrats are so lazy. And they are literally lazy. They think that if they just focus on Trump, then they don't have to assess these other issues. There's like 6 or 7 issues. He says people are scared. He says that Trump's going to run for a 3rd term. These are very easy things to say. They're hypothetical. They're not true. But it's
Would you necessarily be against the government owning 15% of companies? Yes, that's a huge share in every company in the U.S. That's an insane amount for the government to own.
Easy. So if Democrats know the problem, why don't they solve it? Are they allergic to work? How are you allergic to work? It makes me think that when they look at a problem, they see the effort and the inconvenience that is put on them to reach that point, where Republicans actually see the outcome of the work. And that makes the inconvenience and the effort worth it. So we're going to be unpopular if we crack down on crime. So people will call us transphobic if we want men out of women's sports. So people are going to call us xenophobic because we want a wall. But that's what we go through to get to the solution. The Democrats, however, are just focused on the effort and the inconvenience of losing status if they were to grow some balls.
If they wanted to do the work, they wouldn't steal fire.
Meanwhile, they won't offer real solutions to anything. The wall is a lazy solution to a comprehensive immigration reform. Deploying the feds to some places is a lazy solution to actually doing real criminal reform, right? Like everything that you're bringing up that the Republicans are doing are lazy. They're not even half measures. They're virtue signals to all these problems.